recording. And we're live. Okay, so what do we have here? Example 4. The problem with doing these using the addition method is, what do you see is wrong with them right now? They're not set up to add, because why? Yeah, we actually want to put them in standard form. And standard form is ax plus by equals c. So right now, in order to get the first one into standard form, what am I going to need to do? Well, I want the x and y on the same side, so I think I would prefer to subtract the 3y. I mean, you could subtract 9 from both sides, but it's not going to help you get those ax plus by. So I'm going to have 2x minus 3y equals 9, because I subtracted the 3x from both sides. Okay? For the second one, I'm going to add 3x to both sides, so I get 3x plus 4y equals 8. Okay, did I do that right so far? Any questions about how I got that? All right, so now if I were to add these together, this is what I pointed out in the second video on addition method, is if I were to add these together, what's going to happen is neither one is going to eliminate. So I always go, and it really wouldn't matter, I could eliminate the x's or I could eliminate the y's. It does not matter. But the fact that I already have a negative coefficient and a positive coefficient makes me more interested in eliminating the y's, because I don't have to worry about multiplying by negative. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by what? Good, 4. What should I multiply the bottom equation by? 3. And that's basically almost the same thing as getting a common denominator, right? When you add fractions, you have to have common denominator. Here, it's the same idea. So we're looking for the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4, which is 12. So I'm going to distribute that. I'm going to multiply everything by 4, and then I'm going to multiply here everything by 3. So the top one is going to be 8x minus 12y equals 36, correct? And then the bottom equation is going to be 9x plus 12y equals 24, correct? Now I'm adding these two together, and I get 17x equals, what is it? 52? Is that right? 62. Just 60. Oh, yeah, perfect. Exactly 60. I didn't quite hear what you're saying. Okay, and then we divide by 17, and this is where you start to groan, because you're like, oh, fractions. Okay, I feel the same way. All right. So we know x is 60/17. And we can, for a problem like this, we could probably use a calculator and get away with that. That would be okay, too. Okay, so now I have this as my x. I want to plug it in to both to find y. So I'm going to plug it into the first one. So this is really my check, okay? So I plug it into the first one. 2 times 60/17 equals 9 plus 3y. I'm solving for y, okay? So now I have 120/17. I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. Subtract 9 equals 3y. I'm just trying to get y by itself, okay? And then here I'm going to be dividing everything by 3. And just to save time and frustration, I'm going to get out my handy calculator, and I'm going to show you a fancy trick, okay? So I could use my graphing calculator too if I wanted to. No, because remember that 2 is 2 over 1, right? You are multiplying by 2 over 2, right? Okay. And I could go through the process of getting a common denominator, multiply 9 by 17 over 17, subtract, divide by 3. But I'm just going to go ahead, just to save time, do it on my calculator. 120 divided by 17 minus 9 Okay, divide by 3. So you see how I used order of operations? Okay, now one thing you're going to notice, this answer, if you put this answer in WebWork, is it going to work? No. So here's the fancy button. All your graphing calculators have this. All your basic calculators have this. I can go second, and this button, F to D, this is going to save your life. Oh my gosh. It just turned it from a decimal back into a fraction. I bet you don't know how to turn that repeating decimal back into a fraction. Most people don't. In fact, one time someone asked me to do it, and I didn't know how either. I had to look it up on Khan Academy. I don't know. Do it on your calculator. That's the cool thing. So right here, and you notice that we do have the common denominator 17. So y is equal to negative 11 over 17. And if I had, started recording and had my calculator handy, I wouldn't have had a problem doing that. But it was just like, oh God, this is going to be a nightmare. Okay, so I only checked it in one. I need to check it in both. So I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to plug in x to see if I can get that same y. And I'm going to make some space for myself. So this is my second check. I take 4y equals 8 minus 3 times, what's going in for x? Good, 60/17. Exactly right. That's what you're thinking. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to divide this by 4. Y equals, okay, I'm going to do it again on my calculator just to save time, but you should know how to work with fractions. So if you know fractions is your Achilles heel, and you're like, oh, 5 out of 4 people have a problem with fractions, I'm in that group. Then you can go on Khan Academy, learn all the, ins and outs, how do we multiply, because you will need to know that, okay? So I'm going to go 3 times 60 divided by 17. And then I have to go 8. You see this? 8 minus that answer. So that's another really cool thing about the calculator, that ANS key stored the last answer I had. So I have 8 minus that answer, enter, divided by 4. And I get the same thing. Well, how do I know? Because I go second, F to D, fraction to decimal, and I push enter, and I get negative 11/17. Negative 11/17. So my solution, I must write my solution. What do I write for my solution? It's going to be 60/17 and negative 11/17. Okay? And so you will have to put those in, because if you go back and you press enter on this, that decimal, it keeps going. So your exact answers are fractions. Your rounded answers are decimals. You see the difference? Because when you have a decimal that keeps going like this, where do you round? So unless the solution or the instructions say round to the nearest 10th place, which is always an approximation, it's never exact unless you have the fraction. But you see that F to D button, and I'll show you when I get the graphing calculator out next where that button is on your graphing calculator too. But all these scientific calculators, they should have that ability to do that. Okay, is this another little messy fraction one? Another messy fraction one? Okay, well, do we get the basic gist of it? Should we stop there? Okay.